Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott. Welcome to the Prog Corner, kiddies. Oh, this is a good one. I am jumping on the bandwagon. Yes, indeed. Don't say I never did. I'm not a bandwagon jumper too often, am I, Kevin? Yeah, I
No,
am.
definitely not.
No, I truly am. When everybody and their monkey's uncle says, you need to listen to an album. I listen. I'm not that insular, right? I know I'm a hermit, but I do listen to my friends, and we had good friends such as Ian from Rhyme Signatures, singing the praises of this guy's music. We had what notes reviews? Did Nathan on Shuffle do a review, Jacob?
Yeah, as well.
We're talking about Jacob Roberge. How did Notes pronounce your name? That was great.
Let's make Roberge.
Let's make fun of Notes for a second. Notes, we love you. We love your channel. We know you can take it, but it's Jacob Roberge, and again, with us is guitar player extraordinaire. I mean, this album wouldn't be as good without the guitar work of William Gabor. How do you pronounce your last name? Gabori?
Gabri, yeah.
Gabri, okay. Awesome, man. This thing, thank you for sending me a copy. It just came in yesterday, so the timing was perfect, right? I was hoping I'd have some physical product in my hand, but we're talking about Jacob's debut album. Believe it or not, you listen to this record, it sounds like this cat has been around like forever, like for decades. It's crazy. This is a debut album. Kevin from Prog Radio, we're going to bury the lead as long as we possibly can. You've listened to this album. You're playing it on the Prog Radio, right?
Yeah, we're playing it. We're playing it all pretty much.
What is your take? What's your take on this thing?
I think it's great. I'm a bandwagoner. One of my favorite listeners in fact, we were in the middle of our move, and he emailed me and he said, Kevin, I know you're moving. I know you're we were canceling shows so that we could do the move. He goes, but you got to hear this album. This is too good for you not to listen to. So I kind of dropped everything. I listened to it, and I agree. It's a great album for a debut album. Super impressive.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I believe right. Ian said it was the best album of the last 10 years, I believe, was the quote during Ian's review. And he said it with like a straight face, man.
I think
right?
he said it's the best Neil Morris album that Neil Morris hasn't recorded or something like that.
No, I think he said it was the best Neil Morris album ever, period.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, that's pretty much the first review that ever came out for this album. And we didn't really know what to expect. We basically released this all on our own, and I sent a couple emails trying to get it out there, and then the first response I get is this review, and I was like, are you kidding me? That's like the biggest compliment you could give me.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, it can mean good things. That was me with Advent Horizon. I think I was the guy, the first one to ever say anything about Advent Horizon, and I went ballistic, and I told everybody. I told you, Scott. I told everybody, and they're doing great right now, all on their own. They don't have a label. So good things are on your way, Jacob and William.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's been quite 8 months. Probably a little bit more, around 8 months, about a year. Yeah.
All right, take us all the way back, William. Take us back to when you and Jacob started working on this crazy thing.
Well,
8 months ago.
No, more now. It's more than a year ago. But I was basically in Los Angeles, and I was walking outside, I was taking a walk, and Jacob's calling me, and I don't know how we came in touch first. I think you just had my phone number, or for some reason you reached out on Instagram or something like that.
Yeah, on Instagram, yeah.
Yeah, and I just gave you my phone number, and then you called me, and I was always a bit fan of like cinematic music and score, and that's like the other side of my life is I do film scoring, and big fan of metal music as well. So I'm on the phone with Jacob, and he's describing the project, and I'm like, wow, that's like a dream gig, like what he wants to do and everything. But then like you always have the people who talk about doing something like that, And you have the people who like send you actual charts of what needs to be played, and like there's like a 32-minute pre-production, like where everything is already laid down, and like every chord structure is written down, every tempo map is drawn, and everything is right there for you. And I was like,
okay, so are we scoring stuff, Jacob? Are we talking about putting stuff down on actual staff music and charted all out with orchestrated out like that? I mean,
are you here?
Oh, here we go.
First
question answered. Okay, gotcha.
First thing I did was demo out the entire album with every instrument, recorded everything the way I wanted it to sound, but not mix anything. It sounded horrible, but it was like the baseline of what I wanted. Then I sent it over, and then later I did like charts, especially because we wanted to do shows of this album, and just asking a musician, hey, you want to learn that 32-minute song without anything? I was like, I kind of feel bad. So I did a bunch of charts for everything.
Yeah, in case you don't know, he's referring to the 30, is it 32 minutes long?
32, 32 minutes.
Yeah,
it's a soaring epic. It's the writing of an epic is not an easy thing for a lot of reasons. Even the masters can fall into the pitfalls of the genre or that particular song structure, and this feels fresh all the way through. I think Notes was quick to observe that it's his favorite part of the entire album. I like the shorter tracks too. I think that balance actually helps. I think without those shorter tracks that make up the first half of the album, the epic doesn't soar quite as high.
I do agree with you, Scott.
Thanks.
And therefore, the structure of this album is super important, right? I mean, it's smart to put the epic at the end, right?
I mean, and Empty always. Traces too, going into the
epic.
That's
a great lead-in, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's your guitar work on that one, William. It's just so good. So what a way to get into this epic. It's the layout is brilliant, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's again, like, Jacob is a master, like, maestro. The direction I got from him while I was doing that were so on point. Like, nothing was left to, like, I mean, there's to some degree, like, I had my own ideas, but remember when we were talking, like, on the prior video we did together, and like we shared like some of musical ideas we had, and we were so like working as a team that I forgot that who thought of what. So like, and I was like, oh, remember that part? That's really good that you came up with that. And he was like, no, that's fully you. And I'm like, really? I came up with that part? Yeah. And it's like, I didn't even ask you to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about the string arrangement on Garden of Souls. That was one of the things I was like, yeah, that was entirely you. Like the chorus was only acoustic guitar, bass, drums, and you came up with all that. So
yeah,
he's really a big part of the arrangements.
Oh, thanks, dude. But yeah, it's just to show like how it was like a team effort, and it was not like just me like doing the stuff here on my own and like Jacob saying yes or no. It was really like
cohesive that way.
Yeah.
So I think really the question a lot of my audience has is who is this guy, right? I mean, Jacob, tell me a little bit about your background. Obviously, you probably started doing music pretty early, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I started at 10 years old. I took classical singing lessons for about, I want to say, like 12 years, something like that. So I was like learning opera and stuff like that, and learning musical theory. Then on my own, I kind of started learning piano, guitar, bass, drums, that type of thing, and really like it's like I got a drum over here we can't really see, but like now I'm really set up to basically demo everything over here, so it's really cool. I did a bunch of musicals when I was younger, some opera. Right now I'm working as a musical director for a bunch of projects, so I'm I'm kind of like the musical director. I'm directing the musicians. I'm playing piano, guitar.
Well, you're not saying it, but you're actually on tour right now.
I am technically on tour right now. Yes, I had a show yesterday that ended up ending way too late. But it's awesome. It's really cool.
And so the music found on this record, The Passing, available, by the way, at Jacob slash, right, with a hyphen, Roberge.com. Let's direct traffic to the right place. Make sure you go there and pick it up, a copy of this amazing album. But how long, did it actually take you to write this stuff? Because it sounds to me like this would, I don't know, take years and years to write.
It actually did, yeah. The very first ideas I've ever had for this album were pretty much exactly 10 years ago. I was 16 at the time, and I was in a hard rock band. We were doing like covers of Led Zeppelin and AC/DC, stuff like that. And I had that crazy idea. I just started listening to Pink Floyd and like a couple of Rush tracks, and I was like, that's really awesome. You can do like a huge concept piece. And I had that idea about doing a song about the 5 stages of grief. So I presented that to my bandmates, who weren't really thrilled because it wasn't our style at all.
Yeah.
But I started...
Been there, done that, man. Oh, man. I was the only guy that liked prog in a hardcore punk band in the early 80s. So, yeah, a lot of my ideas never got to first base either.
So I started writing a couple of ideas. I wrote a whole bunch that summer when I was 17. I'd say about half the track is from that summer. I was working. I was like a lifeguard at a hotel pool, and nobody would ever go to the pool, so I was just staying there. So I had like a little notebook, and I would just write ideas on there. So
nice. So I could tell it had a little bit of a gestation period there. Now, I received the email from you before this came out, and I'm like, I know that name. I know you've been around for a while. I know you watched the Prog Corner. So, when you reached out, I mean, come on, there was no way I was not going to help promote this year's record. It's called The Passing. And I know the comments people are always talking about, can you do vinyl? The reality is really tough financially for small artists to do vinyl, right? I mean, let's be honest. If you can't move, 300 units, you're gonna lose money, period.
Pretty much, yeah. I've been looking into that. It's definitely hard, especially because it's a double album.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
For a vinyl, like,
yeah,
it's more than.
It's a nice package, though.
So I'm looking into it. I don't know if I'll be able to, but
we would need enough a different mastering.
Yeah, well, even The Passing, you're going to have a hard time getting that on one side. You're going to have to do the 8-track trick. Halfway through, turn it over.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, I was just looking at, speaking of good old Neil Morris, Kevin, you see that Sola Scriptura is coming out on vinyl.
Coming out on vinyl, yeah.
And everything's like broken up.
Oh, yeah. Well,
there's 3 epics on there, right? More or less. All 3 of them are broken up to some degree, I think. It's just, when you're writing an album, before the vinyl revival, you just don't think about that kind of stuff. Nowadays, I'm telling you, artists are thinking about, will this song fit on one side of vinyl? And
well, they're also thinking of it with streaming, so they'll take their epic and they'll break it into like part A, B, C, D, E. Then they get paid for each one instead of getting paid one time for a 30-minute song.
Marillion's last album had 5 songs on it, but it was ID'd out as 18 different songs.
Exactly.
Wow.
More money for streaming that way.
Hello.
Thought of that.
And I've talked to
no
Spotify,
dummies, right?
and I've asked Spotify. I said, "You're being very unfair to prog artists."
Yeah.
You know, because they'll have very few songs, but yet they still get the same per song fee,
that's
which is
right.
not very fair.
Oh, yeah. I
That's
never
right.
thought of that.
Yeah.
That's why they start doing the IDs, guys.
I get that.
That's right.
I'll think
You
about
know,
that next time.
It is a business, you know, and ultimately we do not advocate for the commercialism of our great genre. You know, what we advocate for is people just following their hearts. So, you know, I talk about, the vinyl revival actually going to be forcing artists to actually think about song lengths and restricting what they do. Thank God you didn't do that here, because I think you needed every second of that 32-minute running time. I can't imagine like a radio edit of this. And by that, I mean making it fit on one side of vinyl. So it's that max out at like 21 minutes these days.
Yeah, something like that. I was looking at the song and I was like, okay, if I were to do a vinyl, where would I cut it? The perfect cut is at like 22 and a half minutes.
After,
I was like,
wouldn't that be before
God.
wouldn't that be after a Gabriel solo? I think it's 17
there's not like a
mark.
clear break. That's the thing. Like I was thinking right at the end of what we call bargaining, like the crazy time signature section, and then it
you could
drops
start
down
there.
and it's all pretty much noise for about 10 seconds. I was like, that would be the perfect time, but it's like a minute too late.
Yeah, you know, and that's funny, Kevin. I was talking to Andy Tillison, and I'm like, dog, you still have like 3 or 4 albums still not available on vinyl, right? Is there 3 or 4? But one of them is the Sacre du Travail, and I really love that album. And Jacob's, he's French Canadian. He's laughing at me right now. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Was that French, Scott?
That was supposed to be. That was a very poor Americanized version. And I'm like, dude, we need to. And he's like, those songs were not envisioned that way.
So
and I'm not doing it that way.
Yeah,
I'm not breaking them up.
Yeah, you
not
don't mess
happening.
with Andy.
And I'm like, I love it, man. I that's why he is my spirit animal, and that's why I'm digging what I'm hearing from Jacob Roberge. This is a fantastic record, boys and girls. You need to get your hands on it. It's called The Passing. And one other thing that we were talking about before we hit record was we need to get you on Prog Archives.
Yeah, totally.
Great.
We'll help you do that.
Yeah.
I'll help you get on there because you definitely need to be on there. It gives you legitimacy. You got all these people, singing your praise, and yet you're not on Prog Archive. So that'll be easy. We'll get you on there.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's one of those, reference points. Some people, if you're not on there, they don't consider you to either be a real band or to be prog. Oh, they must be something else, right? They're not on Prog Archives. I can't listen to anything that's not prog. Heaven forbid. When did you realize that you were going to be going in this kind of direction with your music?
It took me a little while to really make the move because it is a pretty big
Well, you were in like a metal band doing Zeppelin and AC/DC stuff, right? So
yeah, so
that's a lot of headwinds.
What were you listening to growing up that pulled you in this direction?
Had to be something.
Growing up, I was listening to basically what my parents were listening to, so Metallica, Bon Jovi, Slipknot, that type of thing. And then I kind of discovered prog rock about the time I started writing The Passing, which is at around 16 years old, something like that. I started listening to Pink Floyd, Rush, a bit of Genesis. Then later I discovered Steven Wilson, which I absolutely love, and he really gave me like that final push to basically say, yeah, that's the type of music I want to do. And then I did at 22 years old, I did a basically Canada's version of American Idol, but Quebec's version of American Idol over here, and I gathered a little fan base over there, but I don't think that's the kind of music they expected.
Not
from
the
me,
same
so,
crowd.
Yeah.
I was singing like Elton John or Josh Groban type stuff, so it was very different.
Yeah, that's all right.
I-
We got Leslie Hunt from District 97. She was American Idol, right?
I think, yeah.
Yep.
And then we got Alina Gibson over there with Kaipa. She was like on Sweden's version, Sweden's Got Talent or something like that. So it's a legitimate end, man. It really is.
Rocky Morris has Miss
how about
America.
Peter Jones? Peter Jones, he was X Factor or Britain's Got Talent or something. So it's a legitimate end, man. There's no shame in that game.
But Jacob, tell the story where we almost worked together. On that.
Yeah, that's funny. So on what we call Star Academy, which is like Quebec's version of American Idol, I was a contestant there, and we released an album where every person in the cast had one song, and there were like 5 different producers for the different tracks on the album, and they showed to us like every different producer and what kind of music they do. So one of the people that worked on the album was William, and they said, well, William's a young guy. He does like rock and metal stuff, and he does film score. And I was pretty much the only guy that was interested in film scoring or rock music in that group. And for some reason, we didn't work together on that song. So after I was done with Star Academy, I went to look up his stuff, and I was like, man, that could be the guy to make that dream come true. So.
No, it was definitely the right guy.
Thank you, Kevin.
So you're very active doing a lot of different stuff. Obviously, were you like actually trained? Did you go to school, for composition or music theory or anything like that, Jacob?
With my classical singing lessons, I had musical theory lessons as well. No composition classes, though.
But all the instrumentation, just self-taught?
Pretty much. I had like secondary instrument, little group classes for piano, but it was mostly by myself. Yeah.
Nice.
All right. I keep hearing every single review that we've had so far. They bring up Neil Morse.
I've never ever listened to Neil Morse.
Thank you. Okay.
I'm sorry, Neil. I don't even know one song. Which I think is so funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I can say the same.
Wow.
I'm a huge Neil Morse fan.
Good music, yeah.
I think we knew that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a secret at all.
I don't think anybody that listens to this CD, and that's fine, because you know what? Every now and then there's a certain chord progression or this, that, or the other thing that might kind of be reminiscent, but you don't sing anything like Neil.
Mm-hmm.
And that's refreshing to me. You're not trying to ape anybody. You're being yourself, right? And then there's a lot of different stuff that you do that Neil would never do. Okay. Don't get it twisted. This is no like clone thing going on here, but yeah, there is. I hear the Neil Morris influence, and obviously I am a ginormous Neil Morris fan, so I have no objection to it. I have no problem with being influenced by somebody like that. But I think that's where the genius of bringing somebody like William in, right? He's never heard like Eric Gillette or one of those Paul Balatovitz or Paul Gilbert solos in a Neil Morris song. He doesn't have that background, so he's coming at it from a really unique perspective, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, yeah. When I got your pre-prod, I was like, wow, this it's its own thing, and I approached it that way. I wanted to give it because I think it would be easy to fall under like a certain type of production where there's not a lot of energy that is being transmitted through the speaker and through the production. But I really wanted to push it to a point where it could almost feel like metal music, or it could be almost as wide and large as film score, but remain into the realm of like rock and progressive music without being too aggressive, but just enough. So there's like places in the passing or Petrichor where like we're really digging in the guitars, and like we're like being down tuned a lot, and I'm like really hitting it, and it gives like that metal energy, but it's just there for like an instant, and then we come back to where it was. And I think it gives a lot of satisfaction in the production that way, because we're going over what's expected at some point, and then we're coming back to where we were. So it gives a lot of like, yeah, there's a wide spectrum of energy in those in that production, but Jacob allowed me to do it, and I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, see, to me, that's the genius of a band like Pink Floyd. They lull you, they gently, and then boom, they hit you between the eyes. And I get that in this album. You can definitely hear the musical background that you have, Jacob, but not too much. Like, I'm a huge fan of Saga and Kayak and the Enid, and you guys may not even know whose bands are. The listeners might.
Saga, my dad spoke about this band sometimes.
So they
Canadian,
have
Jacob's.
They're Canadian. They have that symphonic backbone, but this doesn't go too much. It doesn't go too much to that musical side. It hits this beautiful mix that I think is phenomenal.
It's a dynamite record. I'm really thrilled with it. And tell me a little bit. Is it just who's all playing on this record? Okay, obviously we know William is like tearing it up on guitar
and bass.
And bass. Okay. What do you play? What do you contribute? And are there any other guest musicians or any other spots? Anybody else we need to give a shout out to that contributed to the making of this great record?
All right. So obviously all the vocals are mine, except for one little part in Garden of Souls where there's like that synth melody and there's like oohs and ahs. My wife sings on that as well.
Okay.
So that's pretty fun. I did the keyboards. Well, Will did some keyboards as well.
Oh, that's right.
So all the keyboards were basically both of us. I did the drums, and then we have some guest musicians. We have a violinist called Marjorie Bourque. We have a cello player called Julien Sinot. And there's a guest guitar solo on the passing about halfway through the song.
Is that Gabriel?
That's Gabriel Sear, yeah. Amazing solo. He basically, like, when I approached him for that solo, he sent me back about a day later. Okay, here's my idea. Is it going?
It was like the
right
rough
direction?
idea of what he wanted to do, basically.
And that's what's on the record.
Yeah,
on it, like, yeah, man, that is exactly what I wanted. And finally, there's a trumpet solo on Petrichor. That's Rémi Cormier, a friend of mine, which did an incredible job as well.
Yeah, amazing trumpetist.
And I pronounce all those back, Scott.
I love yeah, that's never gonna happen, by the way. But I do love the wealth and the depth of flavor, different instrumentation. You do have the real strings, which is nice because let's face it, you know what time it is. You could punch in software to make it sound like a cello or a viola or violin. It doesn't take a whole lot to duplicate those kinds of sounds. But, it makes a difference when you're hearing the real deal, right? Yeah. You have a real trumpet player, a real violin player. It adds a lot. And then back to what William was saying, where you don't go too far into the drop D heavy kind of stuff, but there's moments of it and it adds that extra texture, that little extra flavor. It makes it sound really modern. Right? It's not like a record where like these guys are just wanting to be in 1973 all over again. And ain't nothing wrong with that, though. I love that take on prog. Obviously, I'm an old dude. I love that retro prog for sure. But this doesn't sound retro, man. This sounds really modern and fresh.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
That was the intention.
Really, really well done. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jacob Roberge, his debut album, The Passing. Check it out. Go to his website. Order it now. Maybe if you're a good little boy, he'll ship it to you. And, maybe you got a birthday coming up or something like that. Kevin, what's going on Prog Radio this week? What's new? What's happening?
Well, we started today was Cody and Tara's new show,
Prog Couple.
Prog Couple. It was great. They played songs that told the story for the year. You guys may not know who they are, but they met on Scott's show. They were panelists. The first show that they did was Vandergraaf Generator. And then they did the Yes Show, and they were in the thing flirting. And then they started, because she was from Ireland, he was from Canada, and they are now engaged.
Around the world, we're bringing. We just don't bring people together on a musical level, Kevin. We're bringing folks together from around the globe on all different kinds of levels. On a romantic level, this is the first Prog Corner relationship, the first Prog Corner marriage. We're going to have a Prog Corner baby here pretty soon, but, we got a better batting average than the Bachelors got these days.
But where are you guys? Where are you right now? I'm in New York, but where
I'm in Tampa, Florida.
Tampa. Okay, cool.
And Scott's in Ohio.
I'm in an undisclosed location way deep in the boonies of Ohio.
Nuclear bunker,
Yeah, I'm one of those guys.
That's cool.
And in case anybody hadn't figured it out, Jacob is part of the great 51st state, that corner of the 51st state we like to call Quebec, right? We're gonna straighten you guys out. We're gonna knock that French right out of you. Donald Trump will take care of that, right, Kevin?
Yeah. Scott, I have one question. Do we have enough time?
Hey,
absolutely.
We're on your nickel, man. This is your show.
That's cool. No, you said earlier that Jacob was doing something that Jacob was doing something in the music that Neil Morse would never do, and I was wondering what you were referring to.
There's a couple moments in the epic where you listen to a composer often enough, and Neil is so prolific that us old-time Neil Morse listeners, we kind of know what chord's coming next. We know when the acoustic guitar part's coming. We know when Neil's going to twinkle the ivories, in a related key. We know all his tricks. Every time it's a suspended fourth, we know it's coming before he plays it. So I really enjoy kind of taking the idea of what Neil has, in mind, but just adding a whole different way of approaching it harmonically and doing things differently, sometimes making you wait a little bit. Neil doesn't like to make you wait. He gives you that cadence every single time. It's either a perfect or imperfect cadence. Might be a deceptive cadence, but you're getting it, right? You're going to go where you're going to go. He's going to get there. Jacob kind of takes his time and meanders a little bit. And it makes for a really interesting journey. So I think that's kind of where I was really seeing a big difference.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Neil is all about the lift, particularly at the end of an epic and so on. So it's less about what Jacob does more than what he doesn't do, is what I would say. Like you're saying, you're expecting to hear something from Neil that kind of throws you here. So the only reason I would say it sounds at all like Neil Morris is it's great music. I love Neil Morris. I mean, Similitude of the Dream. You say you haven't heard Neil Morris, go get that album. It's brilliant. I love Neil Morris. This to me is different. I mean, it fits the same pocket because it's great music. It's symphonic prog. But other than that, it's its own thing.
Yeah, you could look at the whole Neil Morris canon. Obviously, Transatlantic comes to mind. But I also kind of think maybe Southern Empire, some of those kind of bands come to mind a little bit, where they're able to take some of the template of the old and really infuse it with a lot of modern sensibilities. And that's not just instrumentation and, we use drop D in a song. That has nothing. It has just to do with the sensibility about where a song should go. Whether or not you need to have that, freaky, proggy middle eight or not, all that kind of stuff that modern composers, maybe approach their songwriting a little bit differently. And that's what's exciting about exploring new music, right, Kevin?
Yep, absolutely.
That's why we support brand new acts like Jacob Roberge. His new album is The Passing. It's outstanding, boys and girls. Hey, what else do we have to say, Jacob? Any last words?
Anything in the works? I mean, obviously you're just right on the heels of this, but I'm sure music is in your head, ready to come forth.
There it is.
Totally. I already have a couple songs written for the next one, because obviously just recording that and the time it took to mix it and release it, I had some time to think about what I wanted to do for the next one. I have a general idea. Might be more going in the vein of a concept record.
Okay.
Sort of in the vein of The Whirlwind or Similitude, something like that. But
well, when you write
nothing is confirmed yet.
A 32-minute song is almost a concept album already.
I guess
right?
It is kind of, yeah.
Yeah, well, you'll have the benefit. Oh yeah. Nice.
Oh wow.
That's how we're going to be tagging.
And here's the thing: the next album you do, you're going to have the benefit of it's anticipated. That puts pressure, but it also brings attention. Because you came from nowhere. You came out of nowhere, and people are giving it attention, rightfully so. We're doing it. Scott's doing it. We've talked about the others who are doing it. So the next album, people are going to be anticipating it. They're going to be, wow, we can't wait to hear what he does. And that'll be exciting. No pressure.
No pressure at all.
And no pressure, but a lot of pressure.
Yeah. And hopefully, William, you'll be a part of the second act.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
I would love that. I mean, we played live together. And the whole band. I mean, the chemistry with the whole all the musicians were incredible.
What are we showing, Kevin?
That's Jacob on stage.
That was during the rehearsal for the first show.
Yeah.
We got an amazing group of musicians. That's another thing. Like, we basically did the first record only the two of us, but maybe we'll explore getting like some more musicians on there. Like
it makes it easier to do live shows if you have like a staple of musicians to do that. And I'm sure you're going to get asked about a million times, but we're going to take it one step at a time because this is an amazing first step.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, thank you.
I do agree.
I'm really excited to see what the future holds for our young Jacob Roberge. The question was asked. Is he Prog's next big thing? Oh, boys and girls, check out The Passing. And you tell me. I'm going to put a link in the comments to Jacob's website and also to the title track. I think I'm going to put a link to, some music so you don't have to monkey around. You can go check it out. Would it be rude to
ask how old you are, Jacob?
He's 26.
Oh, okay.
I just turned 27 3 weeks ago.
Okay. See, we need young people, talented young people. William, you look pretty young yourself. So we expect the next 40, 50 years of great prog out of you two.
Again, no pressure at all.
My back's already hurt. No.
That's right. It's just very heartwarming to know that the future of our beloved genre is in such good hands with such good hearty folk as William and Jacob, my guests today in the Prog Corner. Kevin, thank you so much from Prog Radio doing all that great work over there. Again, Jacob and William, thank you for joining us. The new album is called The Passing, highly recommended. Anyway, boys and girls, I think we're going to air this on Monday.
Okay.
I think we're going to do this Monday. That way we can promote it a little bit longer. So I guess that means I'm going to say, hey, tomorrow on the Prog Corner, boys and girls, stick with me as I rank the albums of none other than Rockford's #1 rock and roll band. It's Cheap Trick, boys and girls. I'm going to be ranking all 20 of their albums, including that awful Christmas album. Yeah, I'm going to throw that in there. Why not? It's going to be a lot of fun. I love you guys. Peace in the Middle East. Free the Ukraine. Free Tibet. Free your mind. Free Willie. Free beer. And God save the king. King Chucky III. He needs your saving, doesn't he, Kevin? Oh, yeah, Jacob Roberge doesn't need any saving. He's too young and innocent to be a sinner. But just in case, we're going to dance with the rattlesnakes. Hey, William. We're dancing with rattlesnakes. Oh, yeah, look out, they're venomous. And I love you guys. I'll see you soon. Peace.